So this is it's a little difficult to do, simply because it just sort of feels like I don't know. I sometimes question some of the decisions I make with a lot of the things that I do when it comes to my content creation, and this was a really tough decision to come to. But I have decided to retire the Diary of a Cinephile moniker and the podcast itself, simply because I do feel like in the direction that the studio I'm sort of trying to build is going, I feel like I need more things that are sort of directly connected to it. And even though Diary of a Cinephile is connected to it because the majority of my content is movie focused, I still also feel like there is more room for growth if I have the ability to connect the things that I'm working on and the things that I'm doing to one essential hub. So it makes it difficult when I have this podcast, at least in my brain specifically, it makes it difficult to think about this podcast that I've been doing for 3 years now and how it is kind of separate from everything else. And it kind of always has been since before I was doing the YouTube channel, and since before I was doing even the movie stuff on the YouTube channel. I was trying to do the gaming, and I was like, okay, I'll have a gaming channel, I'll have my movie podcast, I'll have my short story podcast, I'll have my book out, and I'll have all these little things that kind of are pieces of me. But when I made the decision to create this thing that's more than just a piece of me, it's actually something that is a very big project of mine, and I make this huge conglomerate, if you will, this big everything is here type deal. And that's what I really want Ghost Potato Studio to be, and it's turning into that little by little, and I'm really proud of it. So the more I try to think of how I can make it better, the more it leads me to decisions of things that I've had previous. And one of those things was what to do with Diary of a Cinephile. Now, the tricky thing with Diary of a Cinephile for me is that when I first wanted to do YouTube, the huge boom of YouTube, and I've probably said this before in previous entries, if you're a frequent listener, I do appreciate all the support you've given me over the last few years. When I first started YouTube, what I wanted to do was I wanted to do movie reviews as, front-facing camera, YouTube channel, talking about the movie, holding the movie, being one of these channels that's, there's a million of them out now, but I'm talking like when YouTube was first getting big. I was going to meetups in Central Park and trying to rub shoulders with people who are actually making a name for themselves on YouTube. And I know a lot of people who have grown really big on YouTube and made really big names for themselves, have very successful channels. And at that time, I just didn't necessarily have the drive to make it something or to keep it going, or I didn't have a real good outlook on life and not on life, but on the life expectancy of something like that. And I just kind of let it fall by the wayside. As I got older and I wanted to start doing these things again, because there really is things that I'm passionate about and I like talking about these things, even though I'm just kind of talking out into the void for you to listen to, I do that because it's something I am really passionate about. And when I made the decision to sort of start the podcast, it was the first step towards what it could become. And then I had that, and then I also had another YouTube channel called If Flicks Could Talk, and that was kind of going nowhere because I was really trying to stick to the one video a week moniker that, even a very basic YouTuber would be able to do, at least at the beginning of their career. But for me, it was getting to be really hard for the type of videos I was doing. And as I was pushing myself to do it, it unfortunately grew into this thing where the sort of payback for it wasn't kind of worth it. And I would spend hours upon hours to try to get a video out every week, and it wouldn't get any views and it wouldn't go anywhere. And it just kind of weighs you down. And now a lot of those videos are up on the new channel, just because I still love those videos and I put a lot of work into them and I really wanted them to become something. So they're up there now. One of them is actually really popular with a lot of the horror fan community. if you're a fan of this podcast or you're a continuous listener, you know how big I am into the horror genre. So a lot of those things I talk about from a really knowledgeable standpoint. You know, there are some people that are good at certain movies, and the movies I'm usually good with is horror movies, comic book movies, sort of, you know, very niche other topics, but mainly horror I'm pretty good with. It's kind of probably the best percentage-wise of movie genres that I'm good at, and that's why when I started that YouTube channel, it was in October, and the first 5 videos I did were all horror movie related. All 5 of those videos are up on YouTube now again, but the old channel is gone, and it's been gone for about 2 years because I just couldn't keep up with it. And then I was really just loving the podcast because the podcast was just, it was so simple and it was so much fun and it was so enjoyable for me to sit. And I think I've said it, I think I said it on the community tab in YouTube. I might have brought it up in another entry or another video somewhere along the lines. But when I first started doing it, I was recording all over the place. You know, I was recording in my closet. I was recording in my kitchen. I was recording on the stairs. You know, I was recording any place I could put my laptop and microphone. And it's just this, it was this drive to continue to make more of them and to continue to do them. But I also loved that what I took from that was just have freedom. You know, I didn't want to put a schedule on Diary of a Cinephile. I wanted it to be, you know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk about 5 different movies for 3 hours, and then I'm going to make sure all those audio tracks are edited down, and then I'm going to toss them out there. Now, for continuous listeners, you know that most of my tracks are never longer than 12 to 15 minutes, but when you do 3 or 4 of them back to back, you spend at least an hour and a half, 2 hours recording because you take breaks in the middle. There's a lot of things that happen while I am recording where I got to pause, I got to stop again, noise, dogs barking, kids walking in, the wife needs me for something, the phone goes off, I got to respond to an email. So all these things together, it would take me 3 or 4 hours to do 3 or 4 entries. And I was doing them and I was still loving it, but I also had to take, you know, frequent breaks from it because I still wanted to try other things. And then I spent a year trying to do gaming, and gaming went nowhere, and I have about 40 videos of the gaming that I think in total those 40 videos got maybe 40 views. Like, a lot of people really did not like my gaming, and that's because the YouTube environment for gaming is very oversaturated with gamers, and it just seems that like a lot of stuff is happening in that realm that it's too hard to get into. And even with like sort of the movie realm, that's hard too, but I love gaming, but I don't love gaming as much as I love movies. Like I'll make sure I put time aside to watch a couple more episodes of a show I like, or to make sure I sit down with a movie I've been dying to see. But when a new video game comes out that I'm really passionate about, which hasn't really been for a while, I don't really stop what I'm doing to play video games anymore these days. And I love video games, don't get me wrong. I do still love video games, but it's just when I turned it into this sort of chore for myself that I had to kind of save the game and do it while I was recording to kind of have that content, it sort of lost that sort of drive for me. And what's a game I just played recently? I just played Evil West, which was super fun. I really enjoyed that game. And I just played it to play it. I didn't really sit there and say anymore that I have to hold on to games just in case I wanted to start doing a gaming channel anymore. I'd rather just do it to have fun and do it in my leisure and then save, you know, what I actually am passionate about, which is movies. And I've said it before, I've grown up in a house full of cinephiles. My father was big into movies, and I loved watching movies with him and talking about movies and just seeing movie upon movie. And I have this sort of wealth of, I guess, knowledge and experience with just wanting to see more movies and really like enjoy them and talk about them and have conversations about them, because movies are just, they're so much fun and they're so exciting. And I think that's why, like, even if the movie realm of content creation could feel oversaturated, I don't necessarily care, because I'm just going to do it because I actually love doing it. And that's why I spend a long time really trying to learn more and to craft new things and to come up with really good video ideas. And when I decided to start doing it outside of just Diary of a Cinephile, where it kind of pushed me back into that idea of making these videos, I was thinking about what should I do? Should I try to start up the old YouTube channel? and I really wasn't feeling the name anymore, and I was trying to really think about what can I do, what can I think of to do this, and then I was going to run 2 YouTube channels, and I was like, who the fuck do I think I am? I barely was able to run one before I had kids. Now I have 2 kids. You expect me to run 2 of these channels, and one of them I literally have to sit here for hours on end playing video games and then edit it out so I can make multiple episodes out of them, which is what I did. I would play for 3 hours straight, take a 3-hour piece of content and try to separate it into as many episodes as possible. I loved editing them, but it can't be done now. It absolutely can't be done now. So what can I do with this new channel? I wanted to bury IfFlix and I wanted to build up something else. Well, I was using a gamer tag that I was kind of trying to drift away from and make part of the channel, which was Ghost Potato, and I decided, you know what, let me just put it as part of Ghost Potato. But maybe it shouldn't just be Ghost Potato like my gamer tag. It should be, an entity. It should be a thing, something that produces this content that I can push out there. And I was going to do all of it. I was going to do the gaming, I was going to do the movie podcast, I was going to do the movie videos, and I was going to try to make other stuff. And then that's when I pushed out my 2 first videos when I came back with Ghost Potato, and those 2 videos was about a TV show called The Underground, and then a really old movie called Troll from 1984, I believe. If I might be wrong about that off the top of my head, but I'm kind of just rambling at the moment. But those 2 weren't 100% as successful. Then I started posting the old videos because I was like, let me just get these back out there because I really do enjoy them. I recorded new intros for them. I made sure that they were still of good quality, and if anything was kind of outdated, whether or not I should make comments on them. But I was like, let's just put it out there because at this point, I was, like I said, I had 50, 60 gaming videos up there. I put up 2 new movie things. This podcast was getting vastly more popular and vastly bigger than the YouTube channel was doing. So let me throw these up there just as extra content and let's just see what happens. And then lo and behold, it just started, it clicked and people were discovering them and they were enjoying them. And I was like, wow, this is kind of awesome just to have something that was already done that found the appreciation it deserved. And that's when I really decided, okay, maybe there's something that I was missing, and now I think I have the right formula. And now because I feel like I have the right formula in my heart, Diary of a Cinephile has to kind of take a break, and I have to sort of retire that name and move forward with what the new chapter is, and that's having something that's actually connected to Ghost Potato Studio and something that can be correlated to that as it is now just one entity. And I do love this name. I've had this name for just a creation channel for 15 years now. It was one of the first things I kind of came up with because when you thought about, people who really loved movies, you just call them a movie buff. Well, I'm not a movie buff. I'm a cinephile, and a cinephile is somebody who actually cares enough about those movies to sit down and really analyze them and to look into them and to see history and to see interviews and really try to figure out one of these movies that people, have questions for, want to figure out. And it's not just about just brainlessly watching Nicolas Cage action movies from the 90s, which is what I kind of started with for me, but it's grown into something more. And that's why I really wanted to do more with it, and it kind of ignited this passion again to keep going with that realm of content creation, to make these videos that I feel are different, or at least have a different take on things. Because if there's one thing that I've learned from a lot of movie watching is that you always have to deal with people who are critics and people who are overanalyzing and people who overthink about stuff. And sometimes you just need another voice out there that's kind of thinking differently or might actually think like you when it comes to certain things. And I feel like I do bring that to the table, and I just want to keep doing that. So there is another podcast that's going to be coming out soon. It just will be more focused on something under the Ghost Potato Studio moniker. And Diary of the Cinephile, as of now, is going to be retired. All of these entries are still going to remain up. I still want to host it and still have them out there because it is still a catalog that I am proud of, and it has a lot of stuff that I have talked about over the years that should stay there, and I'm going to try to not do things twice. I might do a couple of things over again, but it's very doubtful because there's still constantly things that can be spoken about. New seasons of shows, new movies, old movies, things I never got to the first time around. And I just hope that if you guys really did enjoy this podcast, or if you enjoy the YouTube channel, please stick around, wait for the new one, wait for the new style videos. And I really appreciate all of you. You know, this podcast made a lot of big leaps and bounds when it came to what I thought it could become. I've been on the top page of Amazon Music. I've been on the top page of many other podcast hosting sites. I've been part of the top 10 podcasts in the movie review kind of genre, just because I talk about a lot of different things, and I had a lot of content out there, and they recognized that, and they recognized the popularity it was growing. And it really does suck to feel like maybe I'm making the wrong decision, but in my heart, I feel like it's still going to be something that's good for me in the long run. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you all so much. I do hope you stick around for the next part of the journey. And if you don't know what the YouTube channel is, it is called Ghost Potato Studio. You can check it out at Ghost Potato at YouTube and subscribe to it. Check out all the videos on there. I love making these videos. More videos are coming out soon. And I just really love and appreciate you all for all the support in my growth and through this journey of content creation and just talking about movies and just having this sense of sort of freedom for my passions and my sort of my take on the film world and everything like that. I really do love you guys for allowing me to kind of have that ability to do that. So thank you again. Goodbye to Diary of a Cinephile. I loved you for the many years that you have been my name, and you will always be remembered. To you as the sort of first stepping stone into doing this process of being a content creator many years ago, and me holding on to you for so long, you really are still a foundation building block that I will never forget. So thank you, Diary of a Cinephile. And again, thank you to everybody who's subscribed on all these different channels. I really appreciate you. And I hope you stick around for the next piece of the journey. Like I said, I love you guys. And the support is just tremendous. And this is a real kind of blow in a way, but I think it's a good thing. And if you stick around for it, you're going to see if it is or if it isn't with me. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it all together. All right, guys? Thanks.